real life situation that inspired me. That's quite hard, actually. Well, sort of real life in general always inspires me for all sorts of different reasons, I suppose. You know, what people do, what events happen in the world, and they sort of get reflected in what I try and put on a canvas. So I can't think of anything specific to that, but I just say, as I walk around with my eyes open, things sort of, bits of information flood into me, and I try and interpret that into the work I do. Yes, it is really, because you shut yourself. I have a studio which is just mine. I don't share it with anybody, so I'm on my own from the beginning of the morning till the middle of the afternoon, which is my work pattern. And I just have to get on with what I do on my own. So I guess it is, and I quite like that though, because if I was distracted, then I would probably not be as prolific, and I would not make as much interesting work. But I think my work's interesting anyway, so. Oh, I hate being judged, I guess, but everybody becomes an art critic. When you put a painting up, everybody becomes an art critic. But I'm not quite keen on that, really. I think it's they don't look and see what I see, perhaps. So, and I find that quite stressful, really. So if I'm having an exhibition or I'm going to give somebody a painting, I just want to get it over with as quickly as possible and then hide back in my studio. Ooh, well, I've got a project. There's a very, very famous theatre architect from the Victorian and Edwardian era in England, and he designed more theatres and opera houses than anybody else. And because of the 1950s and 60s, where lots and lots of buildings were demolished, theatres and cinemas especially, and became car parks and supermarkets, there are 26 of his works left, quite a number in London, and then in places like Blackpool and Belfast and Glasgow. And his name is Frank Matcham, and I have a plan to paint all of his auditorium, or auditoria, I should say. That'll probably take the rest of my life, because they're very complicated and intricate works of architecture. So that's my plan. Ooh. Well, I can't do anything else. I've always been able to draw and paint since I was 3. And I was sort of one of those awful children who was quite a show-off, and I liked to show off, and I liked to show off by drawing, and I was obsessed with dolphins, and dolphins were the first thing I ever learnt how to draw. And I went to a school that was very, very, very well based in art and design, and our art teacher, who was a marvellous commercial graphic artist called Owen Frampton, who was very inspirational. And I was going to be a stage designer originally, as opposed to being a fine artist. So I've always painted. It's just in me. It's in my soul. I don't like a day when I don't have something to do with it, even if it's just thinking about or planning a painting, but I just have to do it. Well, as I was saying, I went to this very arty school, which was art and music, really. And so I studied right up until took my A-levels in art, and then got 2 scholarships to 2 art colleges. One was Ravensbourne, which was in Bromley, and the Wimbledon School of Art. My intention to do stage design, which I didn't take up. I didn't take up those positions at all, because I had a parallel interest in music, so I went to the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. So I didn't pick up a paintbrush probably for 25 years, because I was always rushing around the country and around the world singing in opera and music theatre. So it was about 15 years ago it started up again. So. I think because I paint an impression. I'm not a photorealist in any way, so I'm going to say probably, there are 2 things really. The School of Renaissance, where I did some study in Florence when I was doing my A-levels, which was inspirational, saw the great artists there, and Michelangelo and Leonardo being the obvious examples. But I suppose I'm really like the school of Impressionists, with Degas particularly, because I like the theatricality of it and the colour of it. When I was younger, I was more obsessive about drawing and pencil drawings rather than paint. I found paint quite difficult to manage. And it's only when in the last 15 years, I've come back to it. Drawing is something I like to get over with as quickly as possible, and I just want to experiment with paint. So in that particular way, my practice, I don't sit and practice like I used to do. I'd set up a still life or something like that and draw it. I don't do that now. I just want to experiment with what the paint can give me and what textures it can give me.